Here's the one chart you'll ever need. Just look at the cycles. We have multiple cycles here, and each of these cycles has a bear, accumulation, and bull market phase. And you can see across cycles, all of these phases see price action play out in a very predictable manner across cycles. And even to this day, we're also going to be giving an update based on this, because this chart is actually from the accumulation phase that we covered a few months back right over here. So you can just see how that accumulation phase has since matured, but more on that in just a moment. Subscribe to the channel for more videos like this in the future. Like this video if you enjoy videos like this going forward, and let's dive right into it. So bear markets, this is where we tend to see strong downtrends for at least a year or so. That has historically been the case. A year is where we tend to see these bear markets really take place, come to fruition, and bottom out before transitioning into your accumulation range. And the accumulation range typically sees price action move sideways. So whether that's a really small sideways range right over here, or maybe it's even more of a wider sideways range. Even here you can see that based on this price action, this doesn't look like a typical range, but historically and cyclically, it's a sideways range in terms of the broader cycle, sideways movement in a sinusoidal movement, comparing it to the bear market. So we've seen these accumulation phases play out since then, and when we have the bull market really begin, this tends to occur very close to the halving event. We tend to see parabolic price action really take place, and the halving event tends to occur around this point in the bull cycle. So you can see how we only just begin lifting off around the halving event right over here. And as we'll see in the next chart, this is where it roughly begins, and that's exactly where we are in this cycle. But generally speaking, after the halving, we tend to see parabolic price action towards the upside. So this is really the only chart you'll ever have to need, because back in this accumulation period, this was really right over here. This was that accumulation back in 2023, moving sideways, reaccumulating, and we even had reaccumulation right over here for multiple months. And now it's the halving event in 49 days. We're getting close to that halving event, and look at how prices skyrocketing to highs we haven't seen since really late 2021. And this is phenomenal to just see price rallying into the halving event. I made a video on the halving not being priced in, and you can just see that it's not priced in at all. We're seeing price really gain valuation, and this is all in the pre-halving rally phase. So we have to enjoy this pre-halving rally, but also at the same time acknowledge that there'll probably be a pre-halving retrace, whether it's from these levels or even higher. Historically, we tend to see pullbacks around this time in the cycle, but generally speaking, just have a look, because this is what we touched upon in the first chart. Around the halving is where things start to really pick up, and after the halving is where things really go parabolic. And this has historically been the case, where things pick up slowly around the halving and then they really lift off going into the post-halving period. So things really picking up, maybe even more than usual in this cycle, but definitely afterwards we're going to see parabolic price action to new all-time highs. And this is exactly the phase that we're talking about right now, this parabolic upside phase that tends to occur several months after the halving. That's something that really lies ahead. But just looking at this chart right over here, because we're seeing price get close to that final resistance area right over here. This is the final monthly resistance area that Bitcoin needs to break to really break out to new all-time highs. And historically, we've never really seen Bitcoin do this in a pre-halving period. So this is really history in the making right now, that we're even getting close to doing that. And if we manage to do that, that's going to be even more of a historic event, because even in 2016 as well, we only managed to break to new all-time highs after the halving event. So 2016, after the halving event, is where we break to those new all-time highs. After the halving event in 2020, we break to those new all-time highs, and this is the resistance area in this cycle, and we're already there. So things are really outpacing historical norms here. But having said that, who is to say that we will continue to see this sort of phenomenal price action? It's definitely to be enjoyed, but historically we do tend to see pre-halving retraces. So let's enjoy this pre-halving rally. Let's see if we do manage to break this major resistance area. It seems like history should be respected in the sense that this isn't able to break beyond that major resistance area, and that we should see at least some slowing down in the buy side momentum going into this resistance in preparation for that pre-halving retrace event. But if we're just looking at this schematic, we've definitely already transitioned into bull. If you look at each of these moments in time in the cycle, these bull market phases, the bull where we tend to see real price acceleration, we also need to segment this bull price acceleration into smaller phases, because you might think that you've missed out on this uptrend, but just notice that we're still here in that bull market. We're probably even around this region. So don't worry if you've missed out or you feel you've missed out. You're still very early in this bull cycle, because we haven't even broken to new all-time highs yet. When we break new all-time highs, that's going to be the parabolic phase of the cycle. So we'll probably transition into this part of the bull cycle, and that's really something to look forward to. So right now we are ahead of schedule in terms of rallying to this old all-time high resistance area. But that's really the only chart you should be focusing on. The chart that focuses on these bull phases, and there's a strategy to take into account here. Notice how during the bull phases we see loads of dips. There are loads of dips, but we always rally higher and higher. Just notice how maybe even sometimes we'd go sideways, pull back quite considerably, but does proceed further upside. So if we do indeed see a retrace into the pre-halving retrace area of this dark blue circle, just notice and try to be cool, calm, and collected about it. That's probably going to be, and very likely going to be, one of those first bull dips that will present a fantastic opportunity, because these dips do proceed further upside. And given how early we are in this bull phase of the cycle, really important that we understand that those dips will proceed further upside, and those dips are opportunities that need to be taken advantage of, because those dips are going to be one of those final moments to jump on the train before further upside to new all-time highs. So one of those dips is coming and is probably around the corner, a few weeks away. And many people think that we won't be able to dip. We won't dip at all. But actually, we did dip 4% last week. But when we're in a strong bull market, many people think that we won't dip because of the ETFs, because of institutional money flow, that we'll never see a deeper pullback. Whereas we saw a deeper pullback this past January of 18%. But it's important to really take advantage of those moments. And really, when people are saying that we're not going to really pull back, it's not about being bearish to understand that historically we do tend to see pre-halving retraces. This is simply a fact. It's not about being at all bearish, because overall I am bullish. Just look at what happens after the halving. But post-halving parabolic price action needs to be enabled by that pre-halving retrace, by the post-halving reaccumulation period, and those still lay ahead. And it's something really to look out for and also look forward to. But in the meantime, this pre-halving rally is really alive and well, And the only chart that you should really focus on is the bull focus. That's the bull perspective and the fact that dips will precede upside opportunity. In any case, that's about it for today's video. Subscribe to the channel for more videos like this in the future. Like this video if you enjoy content like this going forward, and I'll speak to you in the next one. Speak to you soon.